ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence prototype.
It is a deep learning model that is designed to generate human-like text.
Chatbot GTP, thank you for talking to me today.
Welcome, I'm here to help answer any questions you may have.
It now has crossed 1 million users. Everyone's using it all over my social feeds.
Everybody's talking about ChatGPT nowadays. But what exactly is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is a language AI model. It is capable of carrying a conversation with a user and answer their prompts. Not only are its answers natural sounding, but they make sense and are coherent. ChatGPT is able to carry the flow of conversation in keeping with the context of conversation. You can ask it any question, perhaps a math question, and it will give you the correct answer. Well, most of the time. But not only that, it will also explain the steps it took to get to the answer. ChatGPT has been created by the company OpenAI, which has been spearheading a lot of cool AI projects, one of which was the DALL-E AI art generator that caused a lot of hype upon its release, or that robot that could solve a Rubik's Cube. Even most human beings can do that. And I don't just mean solving a Rubik's Cube, I mean manipulating a Rubik's Cube with just one hand. ChatGPT was made possible because of the work done in the field of NLP, Natural Language Processing. This is a subset of AI that focuses on understanding human text and language. There are several approaches in NLP. One is using the traditional rule-based methods, and the other is using deep learning neural networks. ChatGPT uses the latter. Now let's look at the word ChatGPT. What does it stand for? Well, the GPT acronym stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Don't worry too much about what it means, but basically it refers to a machine learning model architecture, and chat refers to the ability to carry a conversation with a human being. The ChatGPT AI model is based on the NLP model GPT 3.5. The precursor to this was GPT 3, which came out in 2020 and also garnered a lot of hype. Of course, GPT 3.5 is a little better than GPT 3. There are loads of web styles still using GPT 3, and one of those is the popular story-generating website called Novel AI, or that copywriting content generator, Copysmith. With the advantages and improvements of the GPT model, companies will most likely look to leveraging the powers of ChatGPT. The success of ChatGPT has also led to talks of Microsoft and OpenAI integrating it into Bing. I mean, after all, it was trained on Microsoft Azure's AI supercomputing architecture. Now the question is, what makes it so impressive? There is so much you can do with ChatGPT, from writing press releases, essay, poems, copywriting content, solving mathematical equations. You can do so much with ChatGPT. Interestingly, you can also ask it to generate code for you, or even debug buggy code. When it comes to writing stories, poems, lyrics, ChatGPT is able to demonstrate creativity. To summarize, it is pretty impressive. One thing to remember about language learning models is that they don't understand language the way we do, nor do they have the ability to reason the way human beings do. Instead, it guesses what should be the right answer to the context of your conversation, and tries to choose an output that will give it the highest probability of being relevant, or you can say correct. Now, what are the limitations of ChatGPT? Like all AI language models, it is prone to making mistakes. In a tweet posted by Peter Yang, he asked ChatGPT a very simple math question. If his sister was half his age when he was 6 years old, how old would she be when he turned 70? The answer that ChatGPT gave? 73. As in, his sister will be older than him. Now, of course, that doesn't make sense. Another issue with ChatGPT is that it's very verbose, and this is something that users complain a lot about. Another limitation pointed out by the users is that you can easily convince it that it has given you the wrong answer when in fact it had given you a correct one. In OpenAI's CEO's own words, it is a preview of progress. So in other words, don't rely on it too much for when you need accurate information. Yet, despite all of its limitations, it is an impressive feat of technology. Now, let's try some prompts. Now I'm going to ask ChatGPT to give me a recipe for chicken karahi, which is a very popular Pakistani dish. Not only does it give me the recipe, but it also gives me the ingredients list as well. And if I ask it questions regarding the recipe, such as what kind of oil should I use, or whether or not certain ingredients are optional, it gives me fairly coherent answers. So, if you're ever in need of a recipe, you can ask ChatGPT for it. Now, we are going to ask ChatGPT to write us a screenplay. Now, the story is going to be about a retired cricketer that somehow wins the Ballon d'Or and also a Tony Award. It sounds like nonsense, it sounds very illogical, but I want to see how ChatGPT connects the dots. So, in Act 1, it writes that our protagonist wants to join the world of cricket again. In Act 2, they join a local tournament. In Act 3, they start playing professionally again. And then, in Act 4, now this is where all the crazy things start happening. He wins the Ballon d'Or, he joins a Broadway play, and he wins a Tony Award. And in Act 5, it ends on a very inspirational and emotional tone. Now, one interesting thing to note here is that ChatGPT is somehow able to realize that the prompt that I gave it was illogical, because it does include a sentence saying that our protagonist becomes the first cricketer in history to win the Ballon d'Or. So, ChatGPT is somewhat intelligent. Listen, if Hollywood ever decides to make this into a movie, I would love to see it. To summarize, ChatGPT is a very impressive feat of technology, and it is really cool to see how far artificial intelligence has come. But the question is, how will this affect our day-to-day lives? And how will companies start using ChatGPT to augment their business? And one also wonders what GPT 4.0 will look like.